Good morning, guys. This is your Sir DRV again, and welcome back for another Among Us video. So, for today, we're going to talk about Stonehenge and what are the best buffs that you can get. So, on Stonehenge, the buffs are randomly given to us. So, three different buffs after every fight. So those buffs are pretty random, but we can actually select what are the best buffs out there. So I have a list here on what are the best buffs that we can get for stage one and for those elite battles in stage two and so on. So without further ado, let's move on to the list. All right, so I have here my top tier buffs that we can use. So this is not in any order, okay? So I just put it here. So the first one on my list is the Amulet of Blood. So we all know that healing on Stonehenge is very important. So this one is the best healing buff that we can get, Amulet of Blood. So what it does is when the battle begins, it restores the health of two allies with the lowest health by 16% every 15 seconds. So this is pretty good. I just want to give you another disclaimer again. If you see a second buffs like this, I would suggest you select another buff because the benefit of getting two Amulet of Blood is not that good actually. Just one is enough. So you can just select another buffs that is on the list or the buffs that was given to you. So next on my list is the Ring of Blood Shield. So this is another good buff that gives 20% of shield. So 20% of your max health. This is a pretty good buff as well, especially for hard Stonehenge, hard stage. So if you see this, grab this as soon as you can. So another one on my list, and by the way, guys, these are all S tier buffs. There are a counterpart, the purple counterpart of this buff, so it's also good. And sometimes there are buffs that has normal counterpart, the blue one. Okay, that's just a disclaimer. Next on my list is the constraint key, which when the battle begins, the two enemies with the highest attack will be disarmed for 5 seconds. This is pretty helpful as well in the hard stage. So if you see this, grab this as soon as you can. And we have here puncture. Each attack has 30% chance to reduce enemies' physical defense and magic defense by 9%. I put this on the top tier because if you have or if you are battling the third stage Minotaur, this is pretty good. You can easily kill Minotaur. And this is also helpful for normal battle in the Stonehenge. Okay, so another one, top tier buff is the crit ring. It will give you 30% crit. So no other explanation there. Crit is always the better. Next is the Soul Flame Candlestick. So this is another healing buff. Ally whose energy is below 50% will restore health equal to 10% attack over time, which is pretty good. So if you got this Soul Flame Candlestick, don't get the buff where you can, if your health is full, you can gain energy because you will defeat the purpose of getting the Soul Flame Candlestick. Okay. Next one is the Massacre Scepter. Massacre Scepter is also good, and this will help you burst down the enemy much faster. Next is the Arcane Glory. I would suggest if your lineup consists of mainly mages, then go for this Arcane Glory. But if your lineup is consist of assassins and melee fighters, then go with the Rampage Ring. All right. Lastly, the monastic tome, which will give you the crit rating. So 25% crit rating for your back row hero. So this is a fairly good for bursting down the enemy. Usually this buffs shows up in the stage 2, or the hard stage of the campaign, or on the Stonehenge, sorry. All right, so let's move on to buffs that you can get in the stage 1. So my priority on the first stage is getting this Amulet of Night Wind, which will give you dodge plus 10%. Sometimes there will be a time that you can actually get three of these. So grab all Amulet of Nightwind that will show up because it will help you for the hard stage. So best combination is dodge plus healing buff. Okay. Next is the Amulet of the Dark Wing. So haste is also good. Um, especially if you have heroes that has a long casting time for their rage attack. So yeah, get this Amulet of Dark Wing. So the other first stage buff here, notable first stage buff are the Victory Amulet for physical attack, Rampage Ring for melee attacker, because there are long range with physical attack, right? There are full melee attacks, and then Meteor Ring for attack speed, which is good as well. Crit Ring, this is not rate, okay? This is just the crit damage. And Arcane Glory, if you have almost um, full magic team, then I would suggest you go with Arcane Glory. But prioritize the Amulet of Nightwind because it will truly help you on your stage. And I've had included the other buffs as here, and let's talk about the other buffs that will show up, okay? So these are the other buffs that you can get on the Stonehenge. So Wine of Craze. So if there are no selection of the top tier and this one shows up, I would suggest going for the Wine of Grace as well. It restores 300 rage after casting rage for first time. Definitely good as well. And weak point perception. So this is good if you have like two assassins in your team, or even if you have one assassin, then you can get this weak point perception. A victory rush. Haste is increased by 10% for 5 seconds after killing. So this is also good if there's no top tier buffs that shows up and this one shows up. You can go with victory rush. So victory amulet, good for physical attacker like Tommy Reese and those melee attacker. You can get this victory amulet. Unstable explosion. So this is pretty useless buff. So stay away for this unstable explosion. What it does is a grand enemy blast when the battle begins. Deals damage equal to 3% of max health to nearby enemy when enemy dies. So yeah, 3% damage is minuscule. So don't get this buff. Thorn Mail, when the battle begins, units in the front row will return 25% damage in the first 10 seconds. Um, Pretty good. If you don't have any other buffs selection, then go for Thorn Mail. Terror Throne, each attack has 30% chance to reduce enemy damage by 6% until the battle ends. So, not that good, but if you don't have any other choice, then go for it. Thirst for Strike. For each ranger deployed in the battle, all allies crit. Damage amplification is increased by 7%. So, this is pretty good if you have a mainly ranger lineup in your team, like a Nobunaga, Tomaris, and Robin Hood. So, this is good for them, okay? So let's check. And by the way, there are counterparts of these buffs in purple and sometimes in blue as well. Okay. All right, so next is the Ring of Peace. So this is for neutral hero. Usually this shows up in hard stage, sometimes in normal stage as well. For each neutral hero on the team, all allies attack, magic defense, and physical defense are increased by. It's not showing here, but yeah, this is good if you have mainly a neutral team, okay, or neutral buffs. Return to the roots. Restore health equal to 10% max health to nearby allies when the hero dies. Not that good because it only applies when one of your hero die. So there are other healing buffs that is much better than this. Next, Mirror of Void. When the battle begins, all heroes in the front row gain 50% damage resist for 10 seconds. So this is good if you have two tanks in your team and you have a healer. So yeah, go for Mirror of Void. Mania Ring. For each evil hero on the team, all allies attack, magic defense, physical defense are increased. So this time, this is for evil. So this is the evil counterpart of the Ring of Peace. Next is the Liberal Helmet. Each attack has 10% chance to dispel the buff. So I'm actually contemplating about this Liberal Helmet because it says here each attack has 10% chance to dispel the buffs. So is it dispelling the enemy's debuffs on us, or is it dispelling buffs on the enemy side? So the description is not clear. So we'll we'll set that aside for now. I'll ask our developer what's the real buff for the liberal helmet. Next is the liberal amulet, which is good if you have all ally or mostly ally. Mostly neutral hero on your team. Gives max health is increased by 16%. So each. So for example, if you have three neutral on your team, that means it will be increased by 16% times three. Next is the Iron Wall. For each tank deployed in the battle, all allies' block rate is increased by 7%. So if you have two tanks in your team, this is the best combo for the buff that gives out healing whenever you do some blocks. Next will be the Inspiration Ring. The deployed heroes will restore 300 rage when the battle begins. This is pretty good as well. So if this shows up and the top tier is not on the list, then go for the Inspiration Ring. All right, next, Glorious Amulet. For each Justice hero on the team, so this is for the Justice part. If you have mainly Justice heroes on your team, then go for it. And Ecstasy Sensor charms three enemies to melee for 4 seconds when the battle begins. I'm actually contemplating about this Ecstasy Sensor as well because what will happen is it will charm all of or three of the enemies to your melee. So if you only have one melee on your team, then it will be decimated. So it's it's like a double-edged sword. So I would suggest if you have a super tank, a high-level tank, then you can go for ecstasy sensor. But if not, then you can stay away from this buff. Next, the desperate roar. So, allied heroes whose health is below 50% will restore 20 energy over time. So, this is what I'm saying earlier. There is a buff that will give you health whenever your energy is below 50%. So, if you have that buff, then you need to stay away for this Desperate Roar. Desperate Amulet. When the ally's health is below 30% for the first time, restores the health of the ally by 40%. This is not that good. So when I actually pick this kind of buff, um, I'm not actually seeing or feeling it. It's not as good as the other healing buff out there. So, well, if this is the only selection on the list, then yeah, go for it. But if not, then go for the other buffs that you can get, especially those on my um, highest tier buffs that you can get. So, next is the coordination. For each support deployed in the battle, all allies' max health is increased by 7%. And disclaimer, we're not using mostly we're not using supports, right? We're just using full attacker, a full damager. So yeah, this is not used every day, but if you're running two supports, then yeah, go for the coordination. Chalice of Life restores 10% health when blocking. So this is a combo with the other buffs earlier. So yeah, that is a combo with the Iron Wall. All right. So that's the Chalice of Life. If you have Iron Wall, then go for the Chalice of Life. And next one is Breath of the Death. The defense of units, nearby allies in the back row will be reduced by 30%. So this is good if you have an enemy, assassin enemy, like Hanzo or Guy Fawkes. If you see there are Guy Fawkes and Hanzo in the enemy team, then and this one shows up, then go for this one, okay? Next is Bloody Scale. At the start of the battle, units on both sides loses 15% of their current health up to 2000% of the target. So, not that good. Bloody Scale is not good, so stay away for this. There are other buffs that you can use. All right. Next one is the Bloodline of Combat. For each warrior deployed in the battle, all allies' attacks is increased by 7%. So self-explanatory. If you have warrior lineup, then go for this one. Amulet of the Sacred Shield. So this one mainly shows up in the first stage. Not that good. There are other buffs that you can use, especially those dodge and attack speed, and other buffs that increases your damage. Next, same with Amulet of the Sacred Shield. Arcane Amulet is not that good. So lastly, Agility Amulet. Haste is increased by 30% for 10 seconds when the battle begins. So this is one of the best buff that you can get as well, especially if your heroes are AoE damager, just like Nero. Then if you have Nero on your team, then go for the Agility Amulet. All right, so let's run our Stonehenge and apply what we learned from the buff. And by the way, guys, the Still of Bravery, usually what I get here is my main focus is getting a tank, and second one is getting a healer. So if there's a high level Galenis, high star Galenis here, I usually pick Galenis. So right now, eyeing for this tank, it's much better to get a lot of tank. And next one for the gargoyle. This gargoyle gives debuff or buff. So what I'm doing is I try to complete the stage first before getting this gargoyle, because sometimes it will give you bad buff. Or I will get this buff and then fight, as you can see, effective in the next battle. All allies are immune to controls when the battle begins. So this is a buff. If that's a debuff, then I usually fight normal hero. So let's fight. All right. So here we go. Let's just remove this. Put our damager. And I remove this. So I have this is my three main damager right now. Let's put our tank here. I will be needing a healer. So probably later I'll put my one-star Galen, my six-star Galenas here later. So let's go. All right, so that took some time. Hey, what's happening? All right, so okay, I'm very sorry, guys. My laptop is lagging. Okay, let's see what we got. So we have magic attack, crit damage. Yeah, crit, and then DR. I usually get magic attack if this is the other selection, but if there's a dodge here or attack speed, then I would go for attack speed. Since there's no other good buffs here, then I'll just go with the arcane glory. All right, so next fight, let's just use this, and then go for this one. Let's just put our healer because we need a healer. And also, if you don't have a Galenis yet, I suggest you get a Galenis even 6-star. It will be helpful for you in doing Stonehenge every day. So a healer is a must in Stonehenge. All right, so let's fight. Okay, so I'll just skip. All right, so this is the buff selection. I'll go with the Arcane Glory again. So I'll just pause every fight and I'll just show you the buffs that will show up on my screen, okay? Because my laptop is lagging. So this is the fight. All right, so as you can see, I completed that other stage and I got this selection. So I would go for Dodge. And this guy right here, I'm not getting him. I'm just leaving. All right, so I'll get buffs from here. All right, so this is the next buff. Magic attack, range attack, and then melee attack. Then we'll go for magic attack. I need this. All right, let's go. So my healer is actually almost dying now. Hopefully he can survive. Don't die, healer. Okay. Oh, okay. We got another dodge, which is pretty good. That will surely help us a lot. if we will be tackling the hard stage. So this is the tank that I got. All right, so our healer is still hanging in there, even though he's only a 6 star. He's doing his best healing our team. All right, so we got something here. Each Ring of Honor, each Justice hero on the team, all allies magic defense. We don't have Justice. Front row will return damage, haste and increase. So Victory Rush is one of the best on the list right now. So let's go. All right, so hopefully we can beat this boss without any casualty. If Edward shows up on the hard stage, then that will surely help us tanking the first few stages on the hard campaign. Usually Edward shows up, and if there's a Galenis, then our hard stage will be secured. Let's go hard stage. Hopefully there's a Galenis. Yeah. All right. Okay, so we got a Galenis, and I'm pretty sure now we're secured. Look at the enemy, so strong. So, just a quick trivia, guys. These heroes or these enemy in here are actually actual players, and the lineup that is included here is actually actual owned by actual players. It's just that probably the difference is their equipment are all defaults. So probably it's just yellow or something, but yeah, that's the only good thing about this. Look at my power. My power is only at 2.8 million, and the enemy is 3 million. That's how hard the hard stage. Let's try using KG. Hopefully he won't die. And let's use our 11-star Galenis. Let's go. Hopefully this KG can tank the initial burst, and our Galenis can do his thing. Oh no, jump in the middle. He's kill. Don't kill my Abino Seme. Galenis, do your thing. Oh no, our Abino Seme died. Oops. So here's what you need to do. For hard, it will take some time until you complete a stage without any casualty. So you can try other enemies here until you got your first buff, and hopefully you got a good buff on that stage. So let's try beating this one. Hey, Galenis, do your healing. I need heals. Oh no, one of the hero died again, and oops, oops. Let's quit. Let me just pause the video, and I'll try to beat one of them without any casualty. All right, so we've defeated one without any casualty for at least 5 try. And coordination, and massacre scepter. So this one is better because what we need in the first stage of hard stage is burst damage, right? So this is pretty good burst damage. All right, so gargoyle. This time on the hard stage gargoyle, there will be two buff and two debuff. Let's see. For each made in battle, all last rage damage increase for each warrior deployed in battle. Also, these are all buff. There's no debuff here, so which is pretty good. Let's draw one. And the bloodline combat, which I don't have any warrior. All right, so let's go here. Let's try to beat this one, hopefully without any casualty again. Let's go. Let me. There's a Hanzo on the enemy side, so this will be rough. So I might sacrifice my tank. Galenis heal. All right. Okay. So I sacrifice my tank. Hopefully this time we can get a good buff. Oh no, still no good buff. So Mania Ring. I can go with Mania Ring or the Victory Rush. Yeah, I'll just go with the Mania Ring. Because I'll be using um, an evil tank, which is Eric. All right, let's go. I would like to use Cuckoo Line as well. However, I won't have enough damage to burst down the enemy quick if I remove one of my mage. Oh no! The tank is dead again. We don't have any more tanks. All right, so allied heroes whose health is below 50% restore 20 energy. When battle begins, units in the front row will return 25%. Okay. So we are unlucky with the buffs. We don't have the shield at least or the healing at least. Oh no, this will be hard. I might be using one of my potions here or the elixir later. So let's try. Let's use this desperate roar. Give me a healing, please. A healing stand. Oh no, still no healing stand. Let's fight this normal. Two tanks, one healer, two damager. Wow, this lineup is pretty good. So, how about Cuckoo line? Let's see if we can somehow tank a little bit. Let's go. I'm not expecting for Kukuline to tank until the end. It surely lags a lot. Sorry for that. All right, so here we go. For each assassin deployed in the battle, all allies crit, range attack plus 30% melee. All allies crit rating is increased by 7%. Let's just go with the weak point. I'll be using Hanzo. So my Hanzo is only level 180, so not sure if he can um, still be alive at the end of the battle. Oh no. Oh no. This is not this is not going good. This one has a pretty good lineup. Pretty good burst lineup. This will be hard. How about this? All the lineups here are pretty good. Oh wow. Let's try this one. So yeah, the buffs are based on luck. If you're lucky getting those good healing buff and shield, then the hard stage will be pretty easy for you. But if you encountered something like this, okay. So I lost the fight. We're pretty unlucky with the initial buffs. We didn't get any good buff on that first fight that we got earlier. So what I'll do is I'll be using my resurrect, but before I resurrect, I'll try to beat this stage using my remaining heroes. So hopefully this team is enough to beat this. Oh no, not looking good. That Merlin is super strong. Okay. Still not enough. We'll try to use other heroes. Again, we still have a lot of remaining heroes that we can use here. Look at that. Oh no, no, no. Let's just resurrect. Um, his Arthur is actually just healing. All right, so now that we've resurrected, what I'll do, all of them are have burst skills. Their rage is also already at full, at max when you resurrected. So take advantage of that and kill a strong enemy. All right, so let's go. What I'll do, I usually turn off the auto before they can cast their skill. And once they settle down, then I'll cast their rage skill. Look at that. Um, my tank was still decimated. Such a strong lineup. The enemy has a pretty strong lineup. Pretty high leveled heroes. Alright, so what do we got? Coordination again, Thorn Mail again, Mania Ring. Let's just go with Mania Ring. So yeah, on this run I'm actually pretty unlucky. Oh, finally I got a good thank here, Edward. We're going to use that. Um, let's beat this guy. All right, so good thing we got Edward. This will help us a lot. And what do we have here? Iron Wall, each tank deployed, all block crate, assassins deployed. Let's just go with the Iron Wall since we do have one tank available, or we are using one tank. So hopefully we can beat this guy. As you can see, all the buffs that I got earlier are not that good, so we're having a hard time. But there are times that we can get good buff at the start of the second or hard stage, and that will pretty easily help us beat the hard stage. Oh no, let's retry. Our Merlin died. Even this tank died. Wow. Almost all of the enemy in the hard stage are pretty darn good. Pretty darn strong. Did he got my Merlin? Oh, yeah. All right, so our Merlin survived. What do we have? Massacre Scepter, Magic Attack. Let's just go with. We already have Massacre Scepter earlier, then we'll just go with Arcane. Desperate Amulet. It's not. Although this is a healing capability, but it that is not as good as the other healing buff. So I'll just go with the Magic Attack, and let's just hope that we can burst this down as soon as possible. Let's go. Remove the auto. Then let's auto. All right. So that magic plus 30% surely helps us beat the boss pretty easily. So if you're in a bad day, just like what we have right here today, the run that I have or that I made today for Stonehenge is a bad day. So yeah, you will really need to use one elixir for one bad day, and make sure you are always buying the elixir from the event. So let's go to the event. Let me just show you something. So this is what I'm talking about, the season store. Make sure you're buying all the goddess blessing here because it will help you sometimes if you have a bad day for Stonehenge and you have an extra elixir. And also sometimes if you don't have any more elixir, then you can buy one of these every other day. And, it will help you for your Stonehenge run. Okay, so I think this is it for now, guys, and thank you very much for watching. I'm really sorry for the lags. If you like this kind of video, please help me by clicking that like button and subscribe for me to create more good content for Among Us. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again. Goodbye for now.